charge forward, and you're not sure who's going to win the encounter, but then one player comes out on top. But we could have some sort of harassment game with Cloaked Banshees or Blue Flame Hellion drops. So a lot of possibilities here for this Game 7. It's been an exciting one so far. Hopefully this one lives up to the challenge.
Yeah, just reading the lobby chat. What Kawaii Rice going murder? I hope you lose, and yeah, just having a lot of fun there. We'll see when murder. Yeah, murder is finally ready, and now Game 7 going to take place. Test bug, one of those maps. Both players probably don't have that much experience on, but that when players don't have that much experience, it means more interesting games sometimes.
Yeah, meeting Murder at MLG Columbus. He was a really confident player, a cool guy. So I think that he's going to have a strong challenge here for Binsky. Obviously, Binsky has been able to handle the two Protoss on vVv, but now we'll see how his TBT is. But again, coming from a Kyle Rice owned, operated, and coached team, I imagine it's going to be a pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah, so you have Murder spawning at the 10 o'clock location as the purple Terran. Meanwhile, you have Binsky spawning as the blue Terran player here over here at the 3 o'clock position. And like always, leave the production tab up whenever you have a mirror match so you can see who has the advantage, as the early portions of Terran versus Terran are pretty one-dimensional. It's going to be that 10 supply depot followed by a 12 racks, followed by a 13 gas, and then at that point do you start to see some strategy changes between the two players.
So what do you think about the different TBT strategies here? Are you kind of player who likes to get into the tank and marine, or are you the kind of guy who's going to bring three cloak banshees in and just destroy somebody's mineral line? I guess I'm not as familiar with this mirror matchup as you might be as a Terran player.
Well, as a Terran player in Terran versus Terran, I'm always very cautious expanding early, even on a map like Testbug, or even on maps like Shakura's Plateau, where your expansion's almost a gimme. If you do go that route and you are not able to get your turret up in time, or the other player just has superb Banshee control, able to utilize that range of 6 over the range of 5 on Marines. One Banshee, even if you have that turret up, can get in a lot of damage and a lot of harassment, and then buy the time for the Terran player to just transition into something else. We'll see if the players try to go into a macro style of play, and we may see a Marine tank, as tanks are very important. But I don't expect both players to do the exact same thing, as there are just a lot of options that Terran players can use in a TVT.
Yeah, there certainly are, and actually, with one of the recent patch changes, we see battle cruisers make a little bit of a return to the matchup in the late game, depending on the situation. There've been some pretty epic GSL games with battle cruisers. I know watching and actually a pretty good NASL game. I think Boxer was facing Nada, and they had some battle cruisers late game. So I like the fact that you're able to use those big fun units and basically all sorts of different harassment types with Blue Flame and this Click Banshees, as you were mentioning. So a pretty dynamic mirror matchup here at the moment. Not too much differing. Why don't you give us an idea of what's playing out here?
Okay, so Binsky is pretty much going for that standard build. He does have double Marines. I expect that factory to come in behind momentarily. As soon as, he does get that factory, he should be able to get a second gas right behind it if he is trying to go up the higher tech path. Meanwhile, Murder looking to perhaps go into a Reaper expansion. And we also see that there is a scout over here by Binsky on the far left side, just moving up and down, patrolling between the trees, and now trying to get a look. And I believe he's just moving in just a little bit too early. He's going to be able to see the one barracks, and that is it. And he's not going to see the command center. If he comes down that ramp, he may spot it in time. And now that SAV of Murder trying to run away, and I believe Binsky didn't spot it. So that will work out very well. Murder now setting up that command center, and he will be able to do it pretty much unchallenged.
Binsky did see that Reaper, though, so he's going to be able to prepare. He's got his Marines grouped up, and the Reaper, again, doing bonus damage against light units. So 2 shots of 9. They're going to be very powerful against Marines and Hellions alike, as we do have a Hellion coming out. But Reapers themselves are also light, so taking bonus damage from that Hellion. So a pretty interesting dynamic. And now that Reaper going to be coming in here, doing a little bit of scouting, seeing this reactor with the or the barracks with their reactor attached, and now the Hellion going to come out and try to put an end to this harassment.
Yeah, the one problem with the Reaper is that the Reaper has a range of 4.5, so that is a rather small range. And there you see the Hellion with the superior range of 5, able to shut it down, even though the Hellion does take a little bit of time to focus on its target and destroy it. Was still able to deal a decent amount of damage. And now taking a look at Binsky. Binsky going into a quick starport. He does have double gas, but he hasn't really tipped his hand on what he's trying to go for in terms of the amount of gas that he's mining. I have seen battlecruiser rushes. Battlecruiser rushes are one of those things that you rarely ever see, but they are very effective because Marines only deal 6 damage per attack. They deal a low amount of damage, but attack very quickly. Battlecruisers, I believe, have either 3 or 4 armor, and battlecruisers are able to just, absorb a lot of damage. But I think I'm just having wishful thinking right now, hoping to see a battlecruiser.
I think so. The 6-minute in, you probably can't predict battlecruisers off one base yet. We do have one medevac making its way over, so I imagine what Binsky's going to do is get kind of a dual pressure attack, dropping some Hellions into the main, positioning those in the north now into that potential third of murder. So we will see the medevac coming here and picking up, it looks like an 8-pack of Marines. So the Hellions will be challenging the front door of murder. Murder does have up this bunker. He's got all of his Marines in the main or in the natural. So this quad or the octo drop of Binsky going to be able to do a lot of damage if Murder does not react immediately.
Yeah, and here comes Binsky. Binsky now dropping down, and now Murder now pulling away, losing 2 SCVs already, as those Marines are now trying to make their way over, and they should not be attacking the orbital command. They should need to be going after those SCVs, and now finally making their way over. So Binsky having a little bit of a micro issue there, as the Hellions coming around, doing a drive-by, and now trying to walk their way in. It looks like those units are going to get taken down, but Binsky finally getting the memo and knows that they need to pull out there. I'm not quite sure why they pulled out there, or it's only actually there are 9 Marines. They were all hidden in that swarm of SCVs.
Yeah, Murder keeping his SCVs huddled together, not something you usually want to do against Hellions, but when there are a lot of Marines there to fend off the Hellions, that can be a good thing. And Murder does have stim. Binsky does not quite yet. He added a tech lab onto that starport, so Cloak Banshees will soon be following, and we'll see whether Murder starts spamming the mules here, hoping to try to get back into the game economically, having lost a few of those SCVs. If he does too much muling here, he is not going to have enough energy, and he does not, for a few more seconds, 47 energy on one of these orbals, 25 on the other, and the Banshee doing a good deal of damage.
Yeah, the Banshee just pretty much getting free pop shots one at a time, trying to maximize that damage there, waiting for that scanner sweep. There it is, but the Marines trying to get underneath it. The Banshee may be able to get off over the cliff just in time. And now he's going to perhaps try to put some pressure at the natural expansion once more. A second Banshee now coming in. It is fresh on hit points, sitting on 65 energy as Murder in trouble. So this is going to be double Banshee pressure off of one base. If you take a look at the Harvester count, though, it is 29 versus 26. There are double mules and a missile turret finally coming into play.
Yeah, Murder has enough for one scan. No, he just dropped another mule, so he's not going to be able to scan. So this Banshee in the main is going to do a ton of damage, already with 5 kills. The other Banshee has 7 kills at the moment, hanging out on the high ground. But it looks like a turret just finishes in the main. So Murder was able to defend the drop with the Hellions and the Marines. Now defends against this Cloak Banshee play. One of the Banshees now, I believe both of the Banshees are down. Still one more in the field, so not sure where that is. But Murder looking a little bit hurt here, but he's actually ahead in supply 61 to 54 after absorbing a lot of damage.
Yeah, Marines are now trying to make their way in, but a drop finding a bunch of siege tanks, and Binsky able to clean that up. There is also one Banshee on the far side. The Banshee may try to make its way in. Murder still without a Viking to his name, so unable to really destroy any of those fleeing Banshees, as we are now in the middle portion of the game. Binsky sitting on 31 SCVs with 5 mules in play. So with 5 mules, I thought I saw 5 mules. Yeah, there are 5 mules. I expected a much stronger economy, but it looks like, yeah, jumping up to 2,100 now.
Yeah, you have to give those mules a few seconds to do their work, and then it can just get crazy, almost doubling the economy of Murder. And once again, Murder having to deal with these Banshees. He's doing his best to fend it off with just missile turrets, but the Banshee's slightly out of range of that missile turret, able to take a few more pot shots, get 3 kills on SCVs so far, and now a stim coming from Murder, but he will not be able to take down that Banshee. And Binsky just relentless with this Banshee, now focusing down even more of the units of Murder in the main.
Yeah, it looks like the Marines are going to be able to stim over, but the Banshee was pretty far away and now able to retreat once more. Meanwhile, back again, another drop. So Murder, and with just coming in with stim, getting on a lot of damage onto those units, and now picking back up once more. So Murder doing just an annoyance drops there as this missile turret down to 61 hit points. It looks like the SCVs are trying to repair it, trying to get it into play, and it looks like the Marines may be able to finish off this one poor Banshee down to 2 hit points, and it is able to stay alive once again. The Banshee out of energy. A Marine just needs to get over and I guess spit at it, and it would get destroyed.
That is a 12 kill Banshee though, so it had a good life. I know everybody wants to live forever, but you killed 12 SCVs and Marines and you paid for yourself. And I think Murder trying to do damage with these drops, but Siege Tech already up for Binsky. So you start dropping those Marines and they start taking those pot shots from the Siege Tanks. Very difficult to keep pressure on. And Binsky has nice positioning here with these units. Murder has to pull back with those medevacs, and he is not able to get the pressure that he really needs here, as Binsky is shot ahead 81 to 75, and Murder was ahead about 10 supply earlier. So Binsky looking really strong at the moment.
Yeah, what I find really interesting at this stage in the game is there's 31 worker kills compared to 7, but the harvester count is at 39 compared to 40. So really, even after all this action, it's pretty even at this stage. You know, a difference of 7, 8 food, 11 food, not too much right now. You can see that Binsky doesn't have combat shield on his units. Meanwhile, Murder does. Murder also has stim pack as well, so he's a little bit higher in the upgrade department. So that is going to definitely help him out. As we are also getting level 1 weapons upgrades. So this game is still anyone's to take, as Murder now clearing out these destructible rocks.
It might be a little bit difficult for Murder to engage here without Siege Tanks and Siege Tech of his own. He is clearing those rocks, so we will be able to see whether Binsky pushes out. And it looks like Murder getting a scan of that natural. He's going to see all those Siege Tanks well spread. He wants no part of that, especially with the Marines supporting as well. Murder does have the medevac advantage by just a few. But Binsky, as I mentioned before, looking very strong, and now it looks like he's going to take this moment and choose this opportunity to move out, unsieging those tanks.
Yeah, he also has a drop in the main base of Murder, so Murder losing a couple supply depots already. A siege tank is going to siege up, and that's going to be a bit of a problem as both sides are engaging back and forth. Murder distracted for just a moment and losing a lot of his units over here by the Zelnaga watchtower. The drop was cleaned up, but he did end up losing a lot of positioning as those siege tanks are now once again on a roll. You can see Binsky now passing up at 120 food almost compared to 92, 30 food difference, and that is very, very large.
A little bit of a flank there for Binsky, and he's going to be able to finish off the remaining few units of Murder's army here. Murder's trying to get these siege tanks into position. He's the first to siege, but just superior siege tanks numbers, 6 compared to the 2. The 2 go down for Murder very quickly, and Murder is in trouble with siege tanks at his front door.
Yeah, those siege tanks are going to be able to blast away, open up this choke point rather easily. The army is rather small by Murder. Murder needs to siege up as quickly as possible, and then perhaps try to drop straight onto these siege tanks. Oh, the siege tanks do not have marine support, so they are just going to be dropped straight in. The siege tanks are now trying to unload as quickly or unsiege as quickly as possible. The Marines are just stimming back, trying to fight back, and now the Marines are finally making their way over, and Binsky leaving unescorted siege tanks dropped down against SCVs, and now you can see the siege tanks once again sieging back up.
Yeah, but Binsky was able to get a line of Marines to kind of save the day there and save those last 2 siege tanks. And now he's going to be pushing in here. He gets a scan on the high ground, focuses down the 1 siege tank that Murder had. Murder's got 1 more sieging up here, trying to hold here with just SCVs. It is 54 to 35 harvesters, so Murder quite behind here. He's going to try to hold just 1 siege tank for Murder, 2 sieged up here for Binsky. Binsky's got the steady stream of reinforcements making their way across this MLG test bug map, and Binsky is going to be thwarted at the moment. And it's actually 84 to 78. And taking into account the harvester count, I actually think that Murder might have the superior army at this point. Might have to go for a bit of a counter.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be happening here. Binsky is trying to establish his third. We already see a third by Murder. Murder also having a lot of mules in play. So he's the one with the crazy economy, getting close to about 2,000 resources a minute now, as the SCVs need us to do as much repairing and get as much love as possible. Murder lost a lot of supply depots. He's currently supply locked, and I'm not quite sure why he's not repairing that low hit point siege tank.
Yeah, Binsky's going to have a slight opportunity here. It's 105 to 89, but Murder's going to be able to get right back into this one if Binsky does not do any sort of killing blow. I was really surprised that Murder was able to hold that off, and now clearing out those rocks and taking that tower, he's going to have the siege position, the advantage here. Binsky just has a few medevacs, but I imagine some drops could be quite powerful in this situation for the Blue Terran.
Yeah, it looks like Murder may try to do a drop of his own. It does look like there is a drop. That one, I believe, Marine, I cannot tell by the remains, may have spotted this, but Marines are now trying to stim down that poor medevac, and a fully loaded medevac, 600 resources gone in a flash, as the Marines now running up the ramp and going to try to take down this orbital command. Siege tanks are sieging up as well, both sides battling it out. The siege tanks of Binsky out of position just a little bit, but moving a little bit too far forward. Murder has to be very careful about this engagement, as Marines are now going to charge in and perhaps take down that siege tank there. So there are 2 siege tanks and a lot of Marines. This is just tank wars here on Testbug.
Yeah, Murder trying to get into better position, but he is just in horrible position. He is not going to be able to defend this third, as we see Stim Marines working in here, focusing down not only SCVs, but the orbital itself. And Murder's got to pick a moment to unsiege, charge in here, and try to challenge and save his third. I'm not sure it's going to happen, though. 136 to 89, and this might be lights out for vVvGaming and Murder.
Yeah, we are getting more Marines and siege tanks trying to be trained back up, but Murder only has 2 siege tanks over here by the Zelnaga Tower. You can see that Binsky already has his third base with the Planetary Fortress, another command center coming into play. We should see another expansion down here at the 5 or 6 o'clock location, as the Marines are battling out in the center of the field. Medevacs, both sides just exchanging blows. Murder will be forced to pull back as a new set of siege tanks are in position. Marines are going to try to stim in. There are, 4 siege tanks pushing in as well, and I think Binsky has enough units to force the GG, and there it is.
There's the GG for Murder. Pulling up the APM tab at the end there is 193 to 184. These players are blazing in almost the 22nd minute of this Game 7. Both players doing their best. Their hands are flying across the keyboard, and Binsky able to take Game 7 and Wednesday Night StarCraft for his team, taking down a very strong Terran opponent in vVv Murder, and quite a week, quite a matchup.
Yeah, Kawaii Rice obviously very, very happy. Originally, and during the early portion of the night, he was happy, like, yes, we didn't get all killed. And now Binsky doing the all kill -1 and really helping out and showing that Kawaii Rice is a good coach. Congrats to Kawaii Rice.
Yeah, taking his Terran heavy 3 Terran 1 Zerg team and putting up quite a fight. And I think it was Binsky in the end was the savior. Maybe his reverse all-kill ritual really played out there for him. I think Kawaii Rice said he did something special before he started playing. And Kawaii, obviously, as you said, both like an accomplished player and accomplished coach, taking his mostly Terran team to a win on Wednesday Night StarCraft, just the second loss suffered by vVvGaming in the history of Wednesday Night StarCraft.
Yeah, and if you guys happen to join us late, know that you can watch any of the games from Wednesday Night StarCraft either on my channel, on YouTube, Blizz Shouter, or on Matron's channel as well. So we will be posting up those games as soon as we encode them, barring any technical difficulties. I know I had some today, so I'll see what I can salvage.
Yeah, and if you join us late, make sure you join us every Wednesday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Pacific to see some pretty awesome games in these team clan wars between vVvGaming and the invited team each week. So far, we've had some awesome matchups. And like I mentioned before, vVv had been very strong, seeing a lot of superstars, Titan, Time, Murder, and the like. But we had a very strong team come in this time and knock off vVvGaming, and it was quite a week. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and just a correction for all you Pacific people, it's not 10 it's not 10 p.m. Pacific. It's actually 4 p.m. I think Matron.
I'm going the other way.
Yeah, he's going the other way. Yeah, he's in the middle of Atlantic. Maybe some people in Portugal or in I don't know, Atlantis is in that time zone.
And I've been trying to decode DreamHack and the Home Story Cup times all the past few weeks, so I'm thinking the other way of the clock.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we will be back once again next week. Same time, same place. vVvGaming being challenged once more. Thanks for watching. Okay, and we're off.
Awesome. I think that was a good